Frederick Pleiken live there in Kiev for us. Frederick, thank you. Let's switch gears now and speak to Andrei Illarionov. He is one of Russian President Vladimir Putin's former advisors, and he joins us live now from Washington. Mr. Illarionov, thank you so much for your time. The first question I want to ask you is about this deal that was struck on Thursday in Geneva. It sounded like a breakthrough. What is your take on that? Do you see this as a turning point, or is this just more rhetoric that will not turn into action?
If it is a breakthrough, it's a breakthrough in type of Munich Agreement of 1938. Because it's a complete surrender of the interest of Ukraine as a sovereign country to Mr. Putin, and also accompanying by EU and United States in the business of Mr. Putin to take over Ukraine. It's rather hard to imagine why EU and US foreign affairs departments moved in such direction. Because in that statement, in Geneva statement, there is no mentioning of territorial integrity of Ukraine. There is no mentioning of the main problem that it is Russian war, to more correctly, Putin's war against Ukraine. There is no mentioning of Crimea taking over and annexed by Mr. Putin. So and they just calling for vacating buildings on the territory of Ukraine. But territory of Donetsk and Lugansk in this east and south of the country is considered to be Novorossiya, according to Mr. Putin, as he spoke for 4 hours yesterday. So that is why just in a few days it technically would be no Ukraine. So it is it's one of the low points in the post-World War II history, because Ukraine, EU, United States, some kind of decided to allow Mr. Putin to divide Ukraine in two parts.
Well, let me jump in here, Mr. Illarionov. You served as a top aide to Mr. Putin, and the world is trying to figure out what is going on inside President Putin's head. What do you think is his end game? And obviously you don't think he's going to stop at Crimea.
First of all, I was advisor on economic issues, not on other issues first. Second, I take the rule not to discuss personal relations, personal comments on Mr. Putin. As for policies, it is quite clear, and Mr. Putin never hid his interest and his targets. He said that his interest in Ukraine, it was in April year 2008 on record, that he does not consider half of Ukraine as Ukrainian territory. He said that Ukraine is not a real country, is not a state, and he considers 8 oblast regions of Ukraine as the parts that should belong to Russia. And now he's fulfilling this plan, and actually he's pretty open in his intention, in his plan, because he never hid these plans for the last 6 years, and now he's fulfilling it. And he said again yesterday, during his 4 hours conversation with journalists, that his next target is half of Ukraine, and he's fulfilling it. And Geneva Agreement is just a diplomatic way how to help Mr. Putin to succeed in his business.
Well, so clearly you're not a fan of this deal that was struck on Thursday. I want to ask you this. What do you think the world needs to do then?
You know, this is absolutely a new situation. We did not have anything similar to what we have right now after the Second World War. And this is a crisis, probably the most serious crisis since Caribbean crisis of 1962. And it is not Cold War already. It is much worse, because in the Cold War, both parts, I mean the West and the East, did understand the threat and danger of using or threatening to use nuclear weapons. Seems to me now we're having some kind of the situation of 1930s, when the right of using force is being implemented, but now with already nuclear weapons. This is a much more dangerous situation that we have any time since 1962, or maybe even for a longer time.
All right, Mr. Andrei Illarionov, really appreciate your time joining us there from Washington. Thank you. This is CNN Newsroom. Coming up.